item on the agenda is pay the bills.
Motion to pay the bills, exception of Richard Navy.
Got a motion to pay the bills with the exception of Richard Navy. Do we have a second? Motion died for lack of a second. Do we have another motion?
Make a motion to pay the bills.
Got a motion to pay the bills. Do we have a second on that motion?
Second.
Got a second from David. All in favor of paying the bills, raise your right hand.
Right.
All right. All opposed? All right. You get that, Juanita? Okay. This is a standard thing.
I don't like Richard Navy. I think we got a racket. If I hadn't mentioned that to you before, never mind.
For those of you that's just visiting for the first time or so you'll understand what we're doing here.
Yeah.
All right, item number 2 is consent list. Minutes of the previous meetings, anybody, have you had a chance to look over those?
In that, the only thing I saw was over there in item 8, note 4, where it says, Cody Myers went to court, gets in there, and it goes, he reported that the candidate well in the last rehab show. I thought maybe we ought to put West Texas Rehab show. It kind of looks like, well, I ain't wearing that. We got no rehab, but it's pretty good down there now. Because I'm down there talking to how many kids you got in the program, I'm thinking, yeah, that's funny. You got 40 kids in rehab, boy.
We need to add the West Texas Rehabilitation Show.
Clarification.
Stock show.
Yeah, West Texas Rehab Stock Show.
Okay.
40 years looking good, well, man, that's a bunch of drunkards. That's all I had to do.
Anybody else have any other corrections they want to make on the minutes? Tax assessor collector's report. Considering that this was on the 2nd day of January, 81, nearly 81.75% on that thing, I'd say collections are pretty good on
Yeah.
this. Going pretty well.
That
County.
5.33 delinquent, that delinquent from last year is under that 81%.
Do what now?
That delinquent, is that last year's delinquents or this year's delinquent?
That's all delinquent.
All of them, yeah? Ain't nothing delinquent now this year.
Not yet. Once they go
Just be delinquent. Then July will be delinquent. Always like that. Delinquent. Yeah.
A double dip.
So if you get a bill and it says been sent twice, delinquent, that means you're serious, then. Is that what you're saying?
They'll send you a second one. Do they?
They'll send you one in May.
You do send one in May?
The law requires that you send the bill in May before you tax on the attorney fees, the 20% or 15%. So everybody that hasn't paid by May gets a notice, giving them enough time to pay before July 1st.
County District Clerk's report. Questions on that? And the treasurer's monthly report. Along with, this is what most everybody, I think, probably looks at. A lot of red on it, but that's because we're just getting started.
Are y'all still pretty busy in the clerk's office? Land invoice, what was December? Because it almost feel like your revenues dropped off in December, I mean, as far as.
Well, December was pretty busy, the whole month.
What I figured.
Oh,
But I
we
would have
had
figured
a-
those land would have cleared out on you.
No,
December.
we even had some up to the very last day.
Yeah, actually, we had a few extras right at the end, tail end of the year. We had one or
Yeah,
two
we
that
had
had
some
not
that
been
had
here
not
before.
been here before.
One said we'd be the busiest office that he's been to.
Yeah, they told me this was the busiest office in any county they've been to.
So maybe Fisher County was exaggerating how busy they were?
I don't know, I think they were really busy right at first, but
Well, all this will come down sooner or later.
well, it already is, I mean, we're slower already.
I think you still got to.
So,
So,
any other discussion on the consent list? Any changes or questions or comments? Entertain a motion,
Move to approve the consent list.
approve the consent list with the changes noted. Okay, Gary, you second? All in favor? No. Item number 3, consider the treasurer's quarterly report. You all have a copy of it.
It looks like the monthly report, but it's got quarterly highlighted.
One's in pink and one's in yellow.
Yeah. The other one should be in yellow. The one just like that. Right here.
About at the end of the year, that,
That's a quarter.
at that quarter, just that,
That's the end of the year too.
it's also the end of the year, you see, December 31st.
No, because our year
Oh,
ends
that's right.
September the 30th. This is just the first quarter in the new year. The very back page is what goes in the paper. Yeah, the longer places published too.
questions, comments, discussion about the quarterly report?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Motion to accept.
Got a motion to accept, do we have a second? David, second, all in favor? Treasurer quarterly investment report.
That's what it's on, whatever happened to that paper reduction act.
Amy.
She says she likes to kill trees.
Yeah.
That's
Marty.
Is it on record? How long is that, Marty? Really? That's just, wait, did you take that?
I shook up.
But they hadn't come retired yet. It's been my order.
When I slide out, I tell Luke Campbell to hold up, with the drag out
You
there.
don't get that professional witness, or you don't do it on your own.
Well, I'm professional.
You said that you're
So,
qualified. You're qualified.
I want this the whole thing.
You're gonna have to borrow a car and put it back out there. Can I use your car?
Reenact the crime,
Yeah,
right?
that's it.
But, you know,
Hope we'll have to wait 4 or 5 years for it to rain again.
the culprit always returns to the cleaning, right? You might have put it out, but she found a bunch of money laying out scattered all in there, you know? She'd be out there leaking.
All right, quarterly investment report. Chance to look at it. 0.85% we're drawing on the
Big one.
big money. I'll tell you what, road and bridge is likely to get over their limit with that $51.98 worth of interest. Wow.
Cut his budget.
Huh?
Cut his
his budget.
They don't have to sign that one, and that one,
Best part of it was she didn't take nothing out.
Not yet.
No.
Actually, we're gonna put more in here in a minute.
Are you ready?
Yeah, that's the next item, actually. Any questions, comments, or discussion about the quarterly investment report?
I move we accept the quarterly report.
David made a motion to accept, we have a second. Janice made a second, all in favor? Item number 5, treasurer's investment change.
What we're gonna do there is we're gonna put.
The key word there is she's gonna raise the amount of the CDs by $250,000.
200,000 will go to general CD. and
Did we get a copy of that?
50,000 to-
Oh, did you have a copy?
No.
Did it? Oh, okay,
We
here.
just have to
Let me
have that
pass it
one.
around.
That's fine, that's good. Excellent.
I wasn't sure till after the agenda went out that how much it was gonna be. I knew we were gonna raise it, but I didn't know how much.
Wow, that's what those 1.9.
Of course, all our big bills haven't really come in yet. The walls, the roof at the community center.
Did all them, you did those before, right quick, did all that hold, a roof after the rain?
Well, yeah, kind of.
That's down later.
All except the one roof drain that got plugged full of gravel and flooded the library's office.
We can't catch the breath when it really can.
What it was, that thing plugged up, and, you know, this, when they scraped it off, because it had big chunks of tar, so it had to happen when they were spudding the old stuff off.
Mm-hmm.
And where the pipe and the drain connected, that rubber connector on it, that thing was wore out. About half of it was just gone. When that water backed up, it just run out. It was just going back to the roof and puddling up. It all ran out that thing, right down on Patty's desk. Anyway, we got it. Ricky got after it quit raining, took the shot back over there and run the hose down there and suck that gravel out of that thing, open it up.
There's a possible leak down in the creek over. They said, they were not sure what.
Oh, I hadn't heard them say anything about it.
It's in her office. I think it's in her office or somewhere.
Really?
I think she hasn't determined yet what it's gonna be.
I'll look at that, I said, not, haven't said anything to me about that.
I'm not sure where it's at. It's in her office, that closet back there.
No, in her office.
In her office, okay, we'll check that one out. But anyways, I think the roof held good, it's just where that drain was plugged up. I would've, you kinda expect them to check that and clean them out if they plug one of them up.
Yeah.
And I think any future work like that, I'm gonna take a look at Bar. I've sure been happier with their stuff than I was with mine. Took them a long time to get here,
Yep.
a long time to get the job done, and just leaving that thing plugged up, that should have been something they should have checked.
Yep.
I would think.
What was, wait, what was it?
But anyway, that's. Where were we at? Investment check.
Yes.
Y'all had a chance to look at it. Any questions or comments? Entertain a motion?
Move we approve the investment change.
All right, Kurt made a motion to approve. We have a second?
Second.
David, second. All in favor? I'm gonna get to you in here just a minute. Got one more little housekeeping thing. Item number 6, consider resolution on energy defense grant program. It's a deal they sent to us. I'm gonna pass it around, and let y'all look at it.
We just did one of those, but it was for last year.
Yeah.
And this year, they said we're all gonna have to go through the grant program and they're getting stuff in early.
See, we haven't applied for it. Well, we didn't apply for the grant, we just got so much every year, a percentage of what we had spent. This year, that fund is zeroed out. This year, everybody's gonna have to apply through the grant program. That's the resolution.
Probably get the same amount back, but we have to apply for it.
Should, but. Yeah, see, up until this year, until this thing here, they've recommended you small counties such as ours to not do the grant program.
And the only reason we did the grant program last year is because we had so much money out
Yeah.
in indigent defense, they really thought that would pay us more to go that way.
The appeals and the jury trials and that sort of thing. But this year, the only way we're gonna get any reimbursement is to apply through the grant program.
You're applying for the full amount.
Yeah. We'll apply for it, now whether we get it or not, I don't know.
We'll actually file for all that grant stuff in September, that's when they want it filed for. We did get a notification, the HAVA grant is over.
It is over.
They sent out those notifications in the first part of January, which I thought this was the last year, but.
We'll have a, yeah. But we may, a little further down on the agenda here, we may have a remedy for that. So what's the pleasure on this resolution for the Indian Defense Grant Program?
I move we pass the resolution.
David's made a motion, we'll pass this resolution on Indian Defense, we have a second.
I'll say.
Another Kirk second, all in favor?
let the county judge settle on that, can't you?
Yeah. I'll get this signed and item number 7. Consider closing county court account, open cash bond account, First National Bank. The last time, last meeting, we voted to close all the other accounts and open one new account. And on this particular one, we voted to just change the name. And we're gonna have to close the old account and open a new one. So that's the reason it's back on the agenda this time. It's just a matter of closing that county court account and then opening up a cash bond account, and they'll do new signature cards and the whole thing. They wouldn't let us change the name on it. Used to, we could do this, not anymore. So, it's kind of a formality here that we've already decided to do this, it's just, now we gotta make it official, I guess, since they wouldn't let us change the name. Any questions or comments on it?
I move we close the county court account, and open cash bond account at First National Bank.
Okay. We have a motion, you have a second? Second. Jan, second. All in favor? Number 8, that's what Andy and Jennifer are sitting here for. Consider proposal of hospital district to increase the monthly funding for animal service. You put that in your packet. Andy's worked up the figures for it. The letter was pretty well explained what we're needing to do on it, and then figures, Andy's gone over all of those. Bruce, Andy, I'll turn the floor over to you.
Thing is, I don't pretend to be an accountant, but this operating statement I put together, pretty well explains the story of what's happened this past year, from November to October of 2012. It's just your payroll sitting there running between $12,400 and $13,000 a month, and your subsidy $6,000, and your collections start running about $4,000 to $4,500. You're in the hole. That's all there is to it. I would like to increase the subsidy by $1,500 per month per entity. That'll buy us a little bit of time. I don't want to have to get into that $30,000 CD we've got in reserve in case of an emergency. If we don't increase the subsidy by, say, July, August, somewhere right in there, depending upon circumstances, we're going to have an insolvent EMS if we don't. The losses were pretty well incurred by change in policy and the decision to put 24/7 paramedic coverage on the EMS. The EMS was out of compliance. There was a lot of expenses incurred there to get it back in compliance. And there's just a basic shortage of basic EMTs in the county that I don't advise going back to a basic truck, truthfully. I think that there's been at least 4, maybe 5 incidences since I've been back here in town where having that paramedic there saved someone's life this year. The issue is we just don't have a high volume of calls for EMS.
Well, this is one of the things that Jan can speak to probably even better than I can.
Yeah, and Jan did a good
When we
job.
were in the process of one director leaving, another director coming, we had the gentleman, and I don't recall the name, I'm sure Jen does, that kind of oversees the animal services for this particular area, met with us down here, and explained to us that he's overlooked a lot of deficiencies over the last several years with our ambulance service, and the reason he did is because that was the only ambulance around, and we had to keep it operating. He understood that, but he also kind of explained that he had gone about as far as he could go, and that wasn't going to continue to happen. And there was only one way to fix the problem, and that was with more money, put paramedics on that ambulance and get that thing up to code so we can run it. Jim might speak to that some too, but we understood then that our operating costs were gonna go up, just labor costs. And the decision was made, and we were in hopes that our run structure would continue up to about 25 runs a month or so, and it would have pretty much held its own. But, as you see on those run sheets that Andy prepared for you, we're down to about 14 or 15 a month. That's the way it's been running, and as a result, the ambulance is, the income on it is a considerable shortfall on what it takes to
And y'all
operate with personnel that's on.
are seeing one of the great things about healthcare is that charges generated does not translate into payments collected. That's just a sad fact of life of healthcare in general, and EMS is one of the worst as far as reimbursement of charges. The charges generated, if you're collecting 45%, you are doing excellent. Operate a retail business like that where you're gonna collect 45% of your charges, it don't work. And that's where we're at with it. It's just, I know there was some people were wanting me to make this a hospital-based EMS. I'm just telling you, that's an impossibility because we are a critical access hospital. That changes the rules. Hamlin's running into a situation now where they were supposed to go critical access on September 1st. One of the reasons they have delayed that for a year is because they have a hospital-based EMS and they cannot afford the hit to their critical access hospital reimbursement. So they have delayed that until July of next year, of this year now, excuse me. And part of that is they have to figure out some way to get that hospital-based EMS off of their Medicare cost report. That's a deal where it's long and drawn out, but bottom line is that a hospital-based EMS in a critical access hospital dilutes your Medicare reimbursements to the tune of about $140,000 to $150,000 a year based on the revenues generated at present with the critical access hospital. I cannot do that to the hospital district. That's part of the reason we're looking at changing the way the EMS is licensed as well. I mean, there's a lot of issues involved there, but if we were a pay-for-service hospital like 90% of them in the country, hospital-based EMS would not be an issue. But being critical access, I just can't do that. Bottom line is it comes back to the taxpayer no matter which entity's footing the bill. I mean, it really does, and it's who wants to deal with it through their budget. That's where we're at with it.
One suggestion, Andy, that rather than for the rest of this budget year, since everybody's budget's already set.
Yeah.
And we're gonna be pulling off budget funds to do this thing, or line item transfers. A monthly accounting, and then whatever the shortfall is, just splitting that 3 ways for the rest of this budget season. Is that?
That's that would be, if that's agreeable with you in the city. I mean, I'm sure the hospital district, of course, I have a board that I have to answer to as well on that, but bottom line is I'd like to keep that $30,000 in reserve in case of emergency. And that's just what it's gonna take. I mean, I'm estimating that the losses will stay between $3,000 and $5,000 a month, depending on what the expenses are. We've got a lot of things we got hit with last year that aren't gonna be there this year. But we also have the issue of the garage door having to be replaced. We have 2 employees out there that we need to get health coverage on. That's just part of it, but, we need to get audited financial statements. There's grants out there that we can apply for, but I'm sure the first thing y'all have to turn in on a grant application is an audited financial statement. That takes a CPA to do it. The hospital CPAs want about $3,500 to do that. Maybe the county or city has a CPA group that'll work a little cheaper than that, but, it's just,
We might
those
talk
are
to Jim,
expenses that we've got
see if he'd be
coming.
interested in anything. But, you know, that was a thought, it would be simpler, I think, to just make a set amount like you suggested. If you think that will cover you.
Well, I think that's why I brought Jennifer in here to kind of help y'all understand. I understand that this is probably asking you to almost double this subsidy is a big request. And believe me, I didn't come in here lightly. I've looked at this for a couple of months, I understand what we're asking you for. This will buy us time to stabilize it. I would like to be able to give you a report every January. Maybe we have to change the month to sometime before y'all set your budgets, but, I'm hoping that will give us time to get this stabilized, understand where our costs is, get them in without a lot of this extraneous stuff going on. There's always gonna be some unexpected expenses, but at least we can start building a little bit of a reserve back to handle that and not have to increase subsidies every single year. I mean, I'd like to see a point where eventually we're self-sustaining as well, but I don't see it right now, without drastically reducing what we're offering at the EMS, and the changes made last year were good. Don't get me wrong, but they do cost. I mean, it's just.
What about that, Andy, or Jennifer, either one, did that bounce and that pay, does it help you keep them slots filled? I mean, are you having any work?
We're not having any trouble with paramedics, because.
It goes back to our EMT deal,
Yeah,
which is $100 a day cheaper.
Yeah, exactly. We just don't have any basic EMTs in the county to draw from. We have three, and thank God those ladies are in positions where they can cover, but 3 people covering 24/7, we need more available to us, but, right now, I don't think we could drop back to the basic trucks anyway, just because we don't have personnel to do it. Bringing in the outside paramedics from, Stanford, I guess, and Jayden is where the other 2 live, but, that's how we're keeping it staffed and going, and it's, having that paramedic has been very important on quite a few calls this year. So,
But also, the billing is higher with the paramedic on your truck.
and I was
Yeah,
hoping,
you can bill at a higher rate, because you
But you're
can
not
bill.
collecting, it doesn't matter, does it?
Yeah, that's just part of it. We were saying, we had a change in the charges, and we thought the revenue would increase accordingly, but I think, I can't remember, I think it was a 60% increase in our charges. We had like a 7.5% increase in collections.
But I think part of the issue with our reimbursement rate comes in with the company that we're using out of Dallas that does our billing for us. I have a lot of experience in ambulance billing, hospital billing, medical billing in general, about 15 years worth. And I know that I can do a better job and stay on top of it more than they are. We have got way too much, outstanding.
Are we under some kind of contractual obligation to those folks that we're waiting?
No, we just stopped sending them the runs and she starts billing them.
Well, we do actually have a contract with them.
Well, it's for 7.25%, there's no time, we're not in there till July. We just stopped sending them the bill.
I think and I may be wrong, I think if we're gonna give them a set amount, we're gonna have to, what do we call it? We've never done it before, where we amend the budget.
Well, in order for us to amend the budget, we'll have to have an emergency situation. Here's the thing, we've got it, that's a line item that's in the budget, we can make a line item transfer. We've got this 45,000 that we've just received, and that's further down on the agenda too, where we certify that, and we adopt a special budget for expenditures, that's on that grant fund from FEMA. So we've got those funds that'll be going into our general account that's not spoken for on any line item. We can transfer those enough funds in from that into this line item to cover our expenditures.
And we get a special budget, like you said.
Yeah, we've got a special budget coming up for expenditures that we can do for grant funds or unexpected funds coming in for expenditures, and we don't have to have an emergency situation to amend the budget.
And we can
On that.
state on there that we wanna use them for general purposes, and we can use.
Yeah, I've got, when we get down to it, I've got the copy of the local government code where it directs us how to go about doing that. So we've got the funds because of the FEMA grant that we got, that we didn't have accounted for in the budget. We didn't know when or if or how much, so we didn't put anything in there. We got the little special amended budget for that to accept those funds. And then we can place those funds in any line item that we so choose, spend it how we want. So the
We're
funds.
gonna look at grants, Andy, and try to apply for them,
Now,
and.
Jennifer did, since Jan and Jennifer got us back in compliance with the RAC, we are eligible, there's a once-a-year annual $15,000 grant that goes to rural counties for EMS services that we had never received before because we weren't in compliance with RAC. Well, that $15,000 will kind of offset some of the expense they had to get us.
Get any other grants in, would that give us?
The rest is
use
just a
that
matter of,
to leave
now,
that?
there's several other, the problem we've got with state-funded grants right now is that they still have the programs out there, and you can send in all your grant applications, but the state has not funded any of those programs. So, even if they approve it, you know, when you get the money depends on Rick Perry and the state legislature when they drop the money into that program. And there's no guarantee that they're gonna fund any of those programs at this point. The only grants we can really count on maybe getting would be federal or private, charity grants that and those just have to be researched and applied for and see what you get. I think one of those type of grants is what actually paid for a big portion of the, new ambulance that we have, I think was a situation like that.
And that's what a lot of those grants, I'm sorry.
You used most of your funds this last year, you had, what, 70-something thousand in CDs to get back in compliance and stuff, or?
Get back in compliance and then the added labor cost to get the, I mean, the biggest part of it.
The following year shouldn't be as bad as this.
No, it shouldn't be. I think we're probably gonna run 40,000 in the hole for the year, not 105. So it's gonna get better, but it's still in the hole. That's all there is to it. I just don't see us getting 105 in the hole this next year. There's just not as much money. The apartment's finished, you don't have the motel.
Yeah, we spent, I don't know how much, maybe January, we spent a considerable amount down there for motels while we were finishing that whole apartment down there for paramedics to stay. And that was one of those deals where the state folks said, you know, you're gonna have to start doing this. You know, we made a decision before it was turned over to the hospital, we were gonna have to start increasing our staffing on that thing in order to be in compliance. Jan, you were kind of the.
No, because I told y'all earlier, last year, that y'all could be expected to be asked to increase your funding. Didn't know how much, but I knew that we were gonna be asked to increase our funding. And it does cost more to put paramedics on that truck. But the offshoot of that is that even here just very recently, by having a paramedic on that truck, may have diverted a potential situation where that there could have been a lawsuit involved. Not saying that there's anything, because nothing was at fault, but just because of the circumstances, if you'd only had 2 basics on there, and the situation called for more advanced care, if it wasn't available, that could have led to a situation.
Well, like I said, I can think of like 4 incidences since March or April that having the paramedic there, I think, saved the citizen's life. I mean, I don't think that made it.
There's no doubt about that.
Basic truck. So, there's that too. Be considered it, so.
Ambulance is just one of those things, because of our lack of population, is just not gonna be self-sustaining, and but we cannot operate without one. We're gonna, I mean, I think everybody recognizes that we've got to have that ambulance service.
911, I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
911 services in general. I mean, no matter what the population, even in Taylor County with Metro Care covering Abilene, they still get a subsidy from the city. Because 911 services just cannot remain solvent on their own. They're just not money makers. But it's just one of those necessary things that you have, that everybody has to have.
One of those things that points up that government is not a business. It's just the way it works. But you think by increasing that from $2,000 to $3,500 for each entity, that'll keep you solvent through this budget year?
Yes, till, and I was aiming for next January, but I'm not real familiar when y'all set your budgets. I mean, I would be willing to rework this again, and we'll look at it.
Yeah,
I know we need 3 or 4 months here to get things stabilized. I mean, personal issues, whatever. We've got a new citizen in the county, but there's a lot of things that Jennifer and I need to get busy working on, and one of them's resetting the protocols, working on renewing the license, getting the audited financial statements, starting to research where the grant money is. And, I mean, there's some work left to be done there, but the biggest part of it has been done. It's just now getting it stable, seeing where the costs are going to hit. I don't think we're going to have any problems with out-of-date drugs or equipment on there now again. We better not.
We won't.
But that was a huge expense also. I mean, when you find a lot of little vials of medicine in there that have been, they're $1,200 and they've been expired for 4 months, you're in trouble, because I'm not gonna just replace it out of the hospital for free. I mean, it's gotta be paid for. So, it's one of those things, just give it a little more time and get it stable, and I just don't wanna get into trouble in the meantime. I hate to come in here in an emergency. I wanna give you plenty of warning. I see what's coming, and I didn't want it to be we need help today situation.
And when's y'all's fiscal year run down there at the hospital?
At the hospital, it runs October to September. I tried to set this one up a month different, because I didn't want to have to deal with both entities at the same time. I've got the nursing home set up actually a month earlier, so that way I have time to work on each entity individually. But yeah, it's real standard with the hospital. I don't mind moving this up, and we'll just do it July. If y'all would prefer it that way, I'll come in July or August and give you another update, and that way we can start following your fiscal year so you can budget if y'all would prefer to do it that way.
When we start kicking around in July, we won't get serious till real serious, I guess, until August, but July would be a good time for them to give us heads up where we're at anyway, I think. And then you're out of whack with the city, because I think theirs is May, isn't it?
No, they've adjusted theirs to match the rest of us now. Yeah, they did it this year.
But that would be, that's not hard for me to do, just give you another update at that point. I hope we're gonna have things stabilized, and we'll know where we're at.
Well, I guess unless ambulance runs really means that's good for the county. I mean,
Well, and one of the issues, like I said, it brought up to me was that the CT was causing problems with EMS volumes. I did a 4-month study there. There was 18 transfers that the EMS lost over 4 months. I mean, you lost a little bit, but I don't think that's not where the major cost factors come in. Right now, we're able to keep these people here, and
That benefited the hospital quite a bit.
Yeah.
benefits the hospital.
It benefits the hospital significantly more than it would have benefited us to take the patient, to another facility in Abilene or Lubbock.
That's all I've got for you guys. Hate to be the bearer of totally bad news, but there is optimism in the future. We will get it stabilized and get it lined out this year. I don't think you're going to be hit with any big surprises, so.
And you have?
If you do the 1,500 a month from now till the end of September, that'll be $13,500. We're adding to that.
And you can take that FEMA money
And move it
Yeah,
over.
and move it over into
Yeah, and move it in this line item into it.
the general expenses.
Budgeted 24,000 originally in there.
What's your, what's 13 what?
$13,500.
Any other questions or comments? On this issue? Just any further discussion?
I was thinking since Andy and them were doing so well with the CAT scan and the critical care, that maybe they'd wanna, you know,
How
pitch
you
in
implement
more.
Yeah, well, you gotta remember, we're already paying the utility bills, the water bills, the maintenance, a lot of the maintenance bills, the light bulbs.
I had to
Things that
ask.
we never charge you for anymore. Believe me, we're putting in a lot more electricity already.
One of the things, Andy, I was gonna expand on that just a little bit about the garage door. It's up.
It don't go down?
It don't go down. It was more of a residential type door, from what I understand, when they put that on there, and it's already.
They tighten the springs as far as they can, there's no more
It
adjustments
just
to
wasn't
be
a
made.
heavy duty enough door.
It's
for
gonna
that
have to be
thing.
replaced, period. Yeah, they put a residential garage door opener on a 14-foot garage door, and then run the springs up as tight as they thought they could, and we tightened them over the years, but the spring will, there's no more tightening left to it, it's gotta be replaced. So,
And that's gotta be something that we do fairly soon, because it being up like that puts us out of compliance with the DEA. Because of the controlled substances that we carry on the ambulance. Even though they're well locked, it's still an issue with the DEA.
What's your pleasure, guys?
What's our choice?
Yeah.
Now where we're at.
Some kind of short term period. I make a motion we increase the funding to $1,500 a month. Is that how we wanna word it?
Yeah.
Is that okay for you?
Increase funding by $1,500 a month to the tune of $3,500 monthly to the ambulance service. We have a motion, we have a second. Kirk, second. All in favor of that motion, second. All right.
thank you,
Thank you.
gentlemen, ladies.
Andy, thank you.
Yeah.
Jennifer?
That's what my text was about. We'll have another new one in the middle of the week, so.
Okay.
Got any news? Starting Wednesday.
Wednesday?
It's hard on, hard,
It's what?
it's hard on those girls.
You know, I don't know why. She was at the same place today that she was at last Monday. As far as being dilated
Is she
and
overdue?
phased. Huh?
Is she overdue?
No, she'll be due, next week. So,
We're going to do this Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Okay, item number 9. Consider special limited budget for grant funds. this, around for y'all to look at on this thing. Cody, that is local government code, section 111.0106, special budget for grant and aid money. I'll just go ahead and read it. It says the county auditor or the county judge in a county that does not have an auditor shall certify to the Commissioners Court the receipt of all public or private grant or aid money that is available for disbursement in fiscal year but not included in the budget for that fiscal year. On certification, the court shall adopt a special budget for the limited purpose of spending the grant or aid money for its intended purposes. And we can decide what that intended purposes are. It allows us, see, if we have something come up and we're needing to create another entire new line item, like we talked about one of those, in order to do that, we have to amend the budget. And in order to do that, it has to be an emergency type situation. Right. In order for us to do that. And that's a pretty involved process to go through that. But when we receive funds that come to the county, we've got to accept it. We can't just turn them down. That'd be kind of foolish. So they've allowed in the statute, they've allowed us a special budget system that we're going through now to accept those funds once they're certified either by the auditor, if we have an auditor, and we don't, or the county judge. Now on that thing, if you'll notice, not only is the $45,000 from FEMA grant funds that we received, I also got a call from Fisher County last week. They are cutting us a check today for the Cooper Mountain on it, and it's $15,000, and I don't remember the exact figure. It's on there. So we'll be receiving those funds on that thing. I'd like to make a proposal on those funds since we received the big part of the Swinson fire. Our fire department, as you know, was turned down on what we applied for them. They're in the process of trying to complete their metal building down here. You know, they got it expanded and they want to tear down all that old wooden structure and get it out of there. I would like to make the recommendation that on the $15,700 and some that we're receiving from the Cooper Mountain fire, that we divert those funds to the fire department, so we can maybe complete their barn, so we can get all of those, the new trucks that we've got put together, get those inside. We got the big one from the Swinson fire, and I'd like to recommend that the fire department get the Cooper Mountain fire funds so they can maybe complete their barn down there.
But most of that money was and I know that, I understand what you're saying there, but that other money actually came out of road and bridge, didn't it?
Well, yeah, road and bridge and some general fund money, a lot of it. On that Swinson fund. I don't know what the exact breakdown is that's going on these funds coming in from Cooper Mountain. Or they've allowed anything with the fire department, or if that's all county funds. I don't know. I don't have that breakdown either. I know I applied for both, the fire department and county funds, expenditures. But yeah, on the Cooper Mountain, but because the grant fund's coming back on that thing, we can decide here how we want to disperse those funds.
We must have got county fire department funds both on that Cooper Mountain fire.
Do what?
We must have got county and fire department funds both on that Cooper Mountain fire, because that's a third of that Swinson fire.
Yeah.
And I mean,
Well,
we fought most of that fire in Kent County.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, we went to Kent County every day for a week.
Well, see,
before it jumped the highway and got into Stonewall County.
Right. Well, see, on that Swinson fire, our fire department and Kent County's fire department were denied all funding. It cost us, well, the total deal on it was $103,000. Our fire department, their part of it would have been $70-something thousand. They didn't get it on the Swinson fire. I mean, that would have gone a long ways to, put the fire department's houses over there down there if we could've got those funds. But because of that old 2002 interlocal agreement, they denied it.
Well, they should
And
have-
us and Kent County.
I know they're wanting to finish that building down there, and, they took that old truck, one of the old trucks out of commission down there, one of them,
Yeah, the old,
number one, I think.
yeah, number one, yeah.
We just got to work.
And number two is gonna have some work done.
Yeah, you know, them trucks took a beating.
Oh, yeah. You know, they were the first ones,
Well, they said that.
that's what we had, and they, you know, that, yeah.
Hey, Judge, could you tell me something else? In our previous minutes, you quoted us at 45,000, but in that, on that sheet, right there, it says 49,000. There's $4,000 difference between.
I think we got 49.
It was 49, so it,
Oh, but I'm just
you know what, I
saying,
didn't even reckon.
in the minutes,
Yeah,
it's-
it was 49. I can go get that thing. It
Well,
was
it's
40.
just something I thought we ought to bring to everybody's attention. I don't know what do we need to do? Do we need to go back and correct the minutes to show that amount?
Yeah, you know, I didn't even, I just looked at that and I thought, yeah, that's it, but you're right, that was 49,000 and.
950.
Yeah.
It's about $4,000 even is what it is.
Yeah.
This is 45,940.
Yeah. Yeah, it's 49 instead of 45. You're right, Gary, I'm glad you called.
Well, whatever we can do to make that right, I mean.
Yeah.
We'll just amend the minutes,
Yeah,
correct
just
on the
amend them.
minutes this time.
Yeah.
Like,
I said, good, good.
Yeah,
I put it in
Yeah.
there.
You did.
but anyway, that's, you know, that's,
correct it.
and to answer your question, sir, yeah, I guess those tires and stuff, were paid for out of the, we paid for those things out of the road and bridge fund.
That and salaries, what, you know, the overtime thing, what gets us is the time off. You know, so, comp time.
Yeah. But, every one of those guys,
But, you know, once again, we're gonna, we need to think about this. I don't mind helping the fire department and close their building, but a couple of years ago, we were looking at building our own selves a facility over there to work on stuff with. And so we need to keep that in mind,
that's true.
if we, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, I know those guys are volunteers and they need a place to work and keep their stuff, but, we need to keep ourselves in mind also.
Well, that was just a thought, just a recommendation. Since they were cut out because of an old agreement, I thought, you know, that would at least shuffle some of the funds back to them.
Robert, what about that old agreement that kept, that be resolved and done away with that agreement in case of another scenario?
Oh, yeah, no, we've signed an agreement, it's enforced, we did that last spring. And I still haven't figured out where FEMA got that agreement from. I kinda think that maybe Kent County had that in their packet, but I don't, because I didn't send it. What I submitted was the state's interlocal agreement, because it was a newer agreement. And because we had so many different fire departments in here, my cover letter on that stated that as far as we were concerned, we were operating under the state's interlocal agreement for firefighting. And that everything was done under that authority, which I thought should have carried the day. They come back and said, no, because of that old interlocal agreement, and they had the date and all, and I went back and checked it, and they had everything, yeah, and where they got it, I have no idea. I called COG about it. See, COG had updated all the COG stuff after all this stuff. And that's where we got our new interlocal agreement. COG's the one that wrote that up.
Well, then
But because that other one was still in force, that's the one they said we were operating. I questioned about it and said, we'd like to appeal that, and they said, there's no appeal to that, because that's the agreement, that's what was enforced. And what it said was that, there'd be no reimbursement for services. That was the agreement between the county and the fire department. That was agreement between us and Kent County.
Well, it looks to me like Kent County would have been the only one denied in that situation.
No, there was an interlocal agreement between the Stonewall County Volunteer Fire Department and Stonewall County, and it says, everybody was responsible for their own expenses.
You know when we did that? When that maintainer got burned up there 2-3 years ago, we kinda made that agreement in here, West Lake would help us. Their maintainer got burned up, they'd be liable for their maintainer, if ours got over in our county, got burned up. You don't remember all that? Somewhere on down south,
I
they
think
burned the
that
maintainer.
was 2002 or 2004. One of them was, for us, was 2002, and one of the other for Kent County was 2004. Anyhow, there was those agreements. And that's the reason our volunteer fire department in Kent counties was cut out of that Swenson fire altogether on FNA. Cost $103,000 worth of cost. That's what I had applied for reimbursement to the two fire departments.
We should go about 75% of that back, you figure?
I mean, you can't make those folks understand that, yes, it stands as a volunteer fire department. I mean, the only thing volunteer about it is the personnel that work the thing. Everything else basically is the county. It's an expense to the counties. But these state and federal people don't seem to want to understand it. Everything they work with, it's all paid. You know, everybody gets paid. I don't think they have a full appreciation of a true volunteer fire department like we operate.
They should, because they've seen them all over the country.
Yeah.
That's primarily who operates volunteers,
Yeah.
all down in their country.
Yeah. But they just,
But they call themselves volunteer firefighters. All these folks that come in from California, Wyoming, they call themselves volunteers. They get paid.
yeah, they get paid.
But they call themselves.
Yeah, they're on the payroll when they're here.
The federal ones are.
And they don't understand that ours are not safe. See, that's just like on all that stuff, all the man hours, the volunteer fire department, they're accredited $10 an hour. That's all volunteers, so they don't reimburse us, but they counted in their statistics on that when they said, okay, here's what these fires cost. They count those man hours at $10 an hour, but they won't reimburse us for it. And same, Drew, you know, we have a threshold that we have to meet before we're eligible for any federal matching funds when we're fighting fires. That's the reason they encourage the fire department. Gary may be more familiar with this than I am on it, but anytime our guys go out here for any kind of a local call out, they want them to send in the information on that to the fire service, because every bit of that counts toward that threshold amount. We have to reach a certain threshold, dollar-wise, before we're even eligible for any kind of grant funds back. And that's how they figure it. It's $10 an hour per man on the volunteer fire department. And that amounted to lots of dollars on that Swenson farm. But anyway, that was just a recommendation. The funds will be here this week. It'll go into the general fund, and then we can do with them however and that can be something we can decide later on.
Well, I'd
That'll
say
leave
we
a
put,
total of 52,000 plus in grant funds to be distributed somewhere else after the EMS thing.
Do what now?
After the amount that they requested for the EMS, that'll leave 52,000 in grant funds.
But anyway, I mean, we don't
We'll
have to make,
take
we just
15
have to,
off that.
right now, we have to
Yeah.
approve the
So that's gonna be,
the special budget for those funds to accept them into our general fund and
need to up that 13.5 though, into the ambulance.
Yeah, I would, yeah.
So if I make a motion that we accept the grant funds and here take 13.5 and go into the non-departmental expenditures of the ambulance
Yeah,
service,
right.
will that,
That'll
Will
mean
that-
we won't have to do a line item.
that'll
transfer.
cover that, cause we know we gotta jump that hurdle,
Yeah.
no matter
No,
what.
we gotta do that,
Uh,
and then place the rest of the funds in the general account, or?
Or go ahead and designate the 15 to the fire department, all in the same deal.
Well, I'd like to see them be able to finish up the barn and all down there, and get it in, and that's,
Let's do this, let's put it in the general fund, and I'll find out tonight, we got fire practice tonight, I'll get a number from them, how about that? Is that fair enough? And I'll come back and see how much they think they'll need down there to finish that building. That be okay? Let me ask you this, we wanna take, just thinking here, do we wanna take that Swenson fire money? I'm kinda like Blue Kirk, all that come out of road and bridge, what if we took the 13.5 out of the road, out of that Swenson fire money, put it in the, ambulance service, and took that'd leave 36,450, and put that in road and bridge. And we can leave this Cooper Mountain money kinda up in the air, we can put it in general. Is that get too complicated?
No.
We put the 15,791 Cooper Mountain Fire in the general. Put the 36,450 in road and bridge. Put the 13.5 in ambulance.
And then you can move it out of general to
And
the
then we
fire
could,
department.
once we figure out where we're at, we'll take it out of general, move to fire department. Is that?
In the same token, you can move down the general into road and bridge if needed.
That's right. The only thing you can't do, you can't take road and bridge to general, right?
Right.
So we can always go
Come
the
back.
other way. But that would cover our tires and, won't cover our tires and diesel, but it would help anyway. I'm just throwing that out. I mean,
Road and Bridge took the brunt of the expense during that fire. I mean, that's one reason their CD was down so bad, is because that fire.
y'all, is that okay with everybody? I'll make that motion if that's, Judge, is that okay with you?
that sounds good to me.
That didn't complicate too much for you? I'll make that motion that we put 13.5
In the ambulance.
in the ambulance fund. If my math's correct, it's 36,450 and 77 cents, which would be the rest of the Swenson fire money, into road and bridge, Cooper Mountain fire money,
15.7.
15,791.48, going to the general. You might check my math on that.
No, cause I don't have the.
You got a calculator?
Right, yeah. Yeah, I got that too, let's see.
$36,450.77.
That's where it goes, yeah. Okay.
Okay, one of you got that as a motion?
Yes.
Maybe down? Okay, everybody understand what the motion Jerry made was?
Yep.
Is there any other discussion about that? Perfect, that?
Yep.
Okay, we have a second? Dan made a second, all in favor? All right.
I will rework this sheet, and I will show down here the expenditures, I'll show
Where it went.
how you wanted it broke out.
Yeah. What that needs to show is that we accepted the special limited budget for the grant funds, and then show how the grant funds are to be divided out. All right, item number 10. As you know, we got the camera system, and I really like it. I think you've all had an opportunity to see what our camera system is. I talked to the, I didn't have anything put in the courtroom time. I wanted to look at that, study that a little more, talk to the district judge about it. Talk to him, and he wants to, he thinks that's a good idea that we expand that and put the cameras in the courtroom. And so, guys, we're back here this week, we got our, the rest of our panic buttons in. They came and got all that programmed installed while I was here. I had them to look at the courtroom and to get me ready. We talked about three cameras in there. One mounted over on the east side toward the front, focused across where the attorney's table, the defendant's table is. And also you see the jury box and the judge up on and then a camera on each side facing back of the mounted right up front of where the people's seats are, looking back where we can see both sides. And these cameras will also have an audio on them, so we can pick up sound in there.
Can you do that?
That was my question, is that all that, I mean, that's within our legal rights to
Yes.
film that?
Yeah.
But you turn it off during
Others. No, that's see, a trial like that's a public. That's a public deal. You know, reporters can come in, you know, there's some states that kind of limit that, and that's the reason I wanted to talk to the district judge about it, to get his feeling on that thing. He thought it was a pretty good idea to put those cameras in there, and I told him that we could put the sound, you know, we can always turn that sound off if we want to. But he kinda liked the idea of having cameras in there where we see what's going on.
Do they have that in Haskell County?
I don't have any idea. But
Of course, again, this one of those deals where the money's ear tagged, I mean.
yeah, and the money, and
what
we
we
have
gotta
the
have,
funds that will do this, and like I said, that's what it's tagged for. That's the only thing we can use for is courthouse security. I expect within the next
That right in front of you.
couple of years, we're probably gonna be hit with a requirement of possibly a metal detector of some type going into the courtroom.
See, but we have not paid for the cameras that we already have.
Yeah,
That's why that 25,000 is sitting there in that
Yeah,
account.
see, they haven't sent us a bill on it yet. They were waiting until we got the panic button system in, so that was part of the bid. The first set of panic buttons they sent us, the guys came in to put them in, and they sent the wrong frequency buttons. It was some kind of a newer version. We've got the old ones, so it'll match up with what we already have. So they had to send those back, and then they shipped a new set in here, and they come in, they were here last week and got them programmed in, and they are in the offices now, so we've got that system ready to go. And also took one of the, see, we had the radio on that thing was a little Kenwood. Took it out, I've got it in there, we could have it reprogrammed, but I took one of these new P25 tape radios, they programmed it in, put the wiring harness, and that's what's operating. That way we've got a modern, updated radio on that system too. We're in good shape on that, but we'd take a look at this and see what y'all thought about going ahead and expanding that into and our system will be accepted. Actually, I think we put as many as 4 more cameras on this system. This was what they recommended. They looked it over. They recommended 3 cameras and explained why.
On your monitor, you got blank spots in there, or you're gonna have to condemn?
Pardon me,
On
now?
your monitor,
What about
you
it?
got spots for these cameras
Yeah.
to go, or
Yeah.
they?
Yeah, we can monitor it all right there. We can put them on. We can expand that. You know,
So when we have a trial, we can probably cook some popcorn and.
yeah, we can.
We throw popcorn at the screen when we don't like them.
What do you mean you object? Yeah, no, actually, it will accommodate, I think it's 4 more. Yeah, see, we've got 12 on there now, it'll take as many as 16 on that one monitor. And it's the ones in there are the higher resolution cameras, like the two in the foyer here. They're a lot higher resolution cameras than the ones in the hallway. And you don't notice it so much when you're just looking at the monitor in here, but when you pull each one of them up individually and you start to expand that, pull it in and do a close up, that's when you really see that high resolution where it comes in. You can take this camera mounted on this wall right here. Mike's got his little call list there on the little stand there in front of the entry. You can almost read that thing. You can pull that up close enough where you can just about read that. And that's the type of resolution cameras that we're putting forward. They're a little more expensive than these others, but you get a whole lot more detail out of them. Anyway, what's your pleasure on this thing?
I move we buy 3 more security cameras for the courtroom.
Have a motion David made, do we have a second? Jan second, all in favor? Okay.
They nearly got you.
I thought it was going down.
Man, I was sweating.
Anybody needing a break, or we wanna drive on?
I need a break. Y'all
Won't
don't
we
mind.
recess for just a minute and take a
Yeah.
little short break?
Cause my toes are getting cold.
We'll come back.
My toes are